Herzlichen Dank für Ihr Interesse. Der Film, den wir jetzt gesehen haben, ist vielleicht wichtig zu wissen, dass er der dritte Teil einer Trilogie ist. Der erste Film war Soundtrack to War. Soundtrack, das ist Tonspur eines Films, und Georges Gittoes ging in den Irak nach Bagdad und hat die GIs gefragt, was hört ihr für Musik in den Panzern, in den Autos, sehr, sehr spannend. Dort hat er einen Schwarzen kennengelernt, einen GI, der aus Miami kam, aus einem Vorort, aus dem Brown Subs.
Brown Sub, ja.
Ein Vorort, wirklich fast dritte Welt aus dem Vorort von Miami. Und er hat den zweiten Film Rampage dort gemacht. Rampage heißt, der deutsche Titel ist Randale, aber es ist mehr herumtollen, herumwüten. Und es geht über einen jungen Rapper, sein Bruder, der ein Dichter ist, und der älteste Bruder ist eben der Soldat. Und über Gewalt in diesen Vierteln, und in diesem Zusammenhang muss man den ganzen Film eigentlich sehen. Mich hat Miscreants of Tollywood, Bösewichte oder Schurken von Tollywood, sehr irritiert, aus verschiedenen Gründen. I was much irritated about your interesting film, Miscreants of Tollywood. The reality you show us in your film is quite different from the reality we have seen on television channels here in Switzerland and in the Western world. But I think it was very dangerous to come as close to the people of Peshawar, the Swat Valley in Islamabad. How did you come that you get there to make a film?
Well, as an artist, I don't really differentiate between painting, drawing, photography, film, and social work, NGOs. So all my life, when I was just in primary school, I did puppet shows in order to earn money for the Red Cross. So I've always been a fan of Switzerland and the Red Cross. And I've actually I've had an exhibition of my work about landmines in Geneva at the United Nations. And that was really, when I was working with landmines, I covered trying to create, I hate warfare, I hate weapons, and so I worked for many years voluntarily for the international campaign to ban landmines. And I documented literally every landmine field in the world and many, many victims. Put this exhibition together at the UN. And when I was going to Afghanistan covering the landmines there, I used to use Peshawar. This was in the time of the Taliban. I was one of the few people who went into Afghanistan under the Taliban. And the people of Peshawar said, we have many more landmines in the tribal belt than in Afghanistan, and the world does not know about it. Can you please come with us and do this? So I went into places like Bajor and Parachinar in the tribal belt, probably one of the first Western people to do that. And I became passionate about it, and I got onto Handicapped International and many organisations and helped the mine victims and help get landmines. So I started the whole mine clearing, mine awareness campaign in Pakistan. And this is many years ago, this goes back decades. And so it's well before 9/11. In fact, just before 9/11, Bin Laden people came to me and said that Bin Laden wanted to meet with me, but I was very busy and I thought I could put it off. And I regret that I did. I would have probably done the last interview with Bin Laden had that happened. And the reason why he wanted to talk to me was because I have so much trust and love within that area. And he, after all, is a politician that needs people's affection. I think he wanted me to endorse what he was doing, to talk to him. And the same way in this film, I've been able to speak to people like Haqqani and Nazib, you know, these representatives of extreme fundamentalism and the Taliban, and get into their space and actually eat chicken and egg and things with them, because I speak the language, I respect their culture and their religion, and I also teach at Peshawar University and at Peshawar Institute of Business Studies. And many of the Islamicists and the political scientists who actually believe in the rise of Islam, and they believe that people like Bin Laden will someday be regarded as great as Chairman Mao and huge historic figures. After all, Napoleon wasn't the kindest person in the world. I don't agree with their views. As you can see, this film was very much against what the Taliban are doing, but they respect me, and that's why I was able to make the film. But just the same, every day for me being there was like Russian roulette, as I say in the film. I have the long hair and the beard. I'm old, I'm 60, I pass for a Pashtun, I speak the language, and that's what kept me alive. The few times in the film where I nearly get killed is when I slip into speaking English language. So in the opening of the film, I was fine, they thought I was one of their people filming everything. Everything was cool, I shot all that footage of the burning of the DVDs, and then I decided to do a piece to camera where I speak English, and they heard me, they overheard me, and they came and grabbed me, and I was lucky I wasn't killed. Also in the scene where we're filming with the film crew, I slipped. Instead of saying in Pashto, why are you doing this, I said, why are you doing this in English? And suddenly they realised this guy's not Pashtun. And that gun, you see the guy cocks the gun, he hadn't put his clip in properly. And so when he pulled the trigger to kill me, the clip fell out. So, you know, God was on side. And actually in that culture, the little man, the leader of the Taliban in that group said, God's looking after him, don't put another bullet in the gun, let him go. And so I was saved by their respect for God's will. But I'm going back there, you know, at the moment, very concerned about, I'm sending $500 a month to Javed to help feed his family. And that's still not good, it's charity money. So while I was in Amsterdam, I went to Oxfam, and Oxfam, being wise enough, they're going to fund a program where they fund 9 of these $3,000 or $4,000 films a year in Peshawar, and each one of those films will employ 50 people, and each one of those individuals will feed their families, large families like Javed's, and joy will be produced, and these artists will have the pride of practicing what they do. A girl like Kiran, you know, her mother's an actress. You've got to understand, it's wonderful to show this film, A Medieval City. Her family have been actresses and singers and dancers for thousands of years. They're from a guild of singers and dancers. So to tell these people they can't do it anymore is it's impossible for them. That's all they know how to do.
It's a clash between culture and religion. Is there any hope that there will be someday liberty, freedom, or does it go on?
Well, we're going into very dark times. We're seeing Chinese colonialism in Africa and New Guinea. We've started to become politically correct. We're aware of our colonialism now. We've got the third world being colonial against the rest of the third world. And I believe that the Taliban will take over Pakistan, and they will succeed in Afghanistan inevitably, just as the Viet Cong defeated America in Vietnam. And mainly they will win because of our stupidity. It is winnable. If I could get into the ear of people, I could tell them how they could succeed. So the real problem, they really knew what they were doing, the Taliban, or whoever it was that killed Benazir Bhutto, because while she'd had a couple of failures when she was previously President and Prime Minister, she'd become a very, very mature politician, quite selfless, and was ready to pull that country into shape. But her husband, Zardari, a lot of people think he actually got her killed. He's Mr. 30%. He's completely corrupt. He's got almost zero popularity in the country. And someone like that cannot inspire an army or a people to overthrow an insurgency like the Taliban. So it's very, very dangerous. As my character says in the film, Pakistan shares a border with not only with Afghanistan, but with Iran and India and China, and with the Arabian Gulf, you know, the Arabian Sea, and you know, it is the one place where you could trigger World War III. I think it's very likely that we will see World War III, and it will be a result of us not being able to contain the fire, which is Pakistan and Afghanistan, and the stupid way that we've gone about trying to do it.
Music plays a very important role in your films. Is there something you can transport hope with the music, or what is it?
Well, the hope for me is things like Oxfam. And what I find is that, like when I showed my film in the Amsterdam Film Festival, there was a division between the baby boomers, who are like the 50 plus people, and there are all these young, long-haired, incredible people under 30 who want to change the world. They all care about the environment. They join organisations like Greenpeace, and most of the documentaries in that film festival were just straight out boring. It's more interesting watching paint dry. And my films were full of these wonderful. I'm 60. I'm one of the worst, most selfish generation in the world, which are the baby boomers. I think we should all be shot. We should all be euthanized. Euthanized. I think the baby boomers are the most selfish people that have ever lived on this planet. And so I think it's very important for people to show young people that there are solutions. There are things like being able to do the Oxfam thing, being able to make the kind of film that I make. In fact, with this film, it's very much an MTV generation film. It's got thousands of cuts in it, it's entertaining, it's got humour, and where a lot of people will criticise filmmakers like myself and Michael Moore, we produce films which are what's called super docs, which people want to watch. They're entertaining. The film that won the Amsterdam Film Festival, Last Train Home, was a Chinese communist propaganda film about workers, a social realist film. And these baby boomers sat there and, they want to watch grim, nasty, sad, films which make the third world look awful and blah, 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 blah. And, the people who came to mind were, as I said, they're the people who want to change the world. So it's very positive to show examples, parameters, ways that this can be done. And so, that's it. We've got to go out there and do it. I think the problem with the arts is that the arts put their head in the bag. Like, I went and saw your museum down here, and the contemporary art in that museum was just shit, It was just boring, irrelevant. I mean, sometimes...
What exhibition did you see?
Well, the stuff there, I mean, generally, it's not just there.
You were very keen making distinctions. I'd like to know which one.
Well, 99.999% of the sort of stuff...
But is that the problem of the West, perhaps?
No, the problem is that the art world put... like ostriches, they put their head in the sand, and someday books will be written and they'll look at the artists who actually did something about the world we're really living in and didn't just do something about art.
So
and that's the difference.
Why do you insist on being an artist then, to belong to this shallow tribe?
Well, I'm an artist. I believe in artists. I think most of the people in that tribe really are fake artists, and they don't actually belong to the tribe.
How do you distinguish?
I think a real artist upsets people. They irritate people. They're an irritant. They're breaking new ground, and they often don't even know how they're doing it. But they're trying to solve the question that you asked of what do we do, and it's freestyling. It's like my film on rap. You're out there. And you don't know, like with that film, I'm there on my own. I arrive in Peshawar on my own, just with a camera, and I kind of create a circus. I work with other artists, I find them, and I improvise. And like, I remember moments of lying in my bed in Peshawar, thinking, well, how am I going to do this? Like, can I really take a bunch of actors up into the hills where Bin Laden is? And it's like when you see it as the finished film, it all seems, it all seems easy and doable. But believe me, to make a film like this is damned hard. I'm there on my own. I got no one helping me. I haven't got a crew, nothing. And I think art galleries have become irrelevant. Contemporary artists have to find ways to work through film, through television, internet, installation art. It's nice. I still paint. I've got paintings in this exhibition, on exhibition here in Bern, because there's always going to be children who love to paint and draw. But the challenge for contemporary art, these are the most challenging times we've ever lived through. So we've got to find ways of reaching people. I was recently disgusted. Some friends in Berlin told me to come and see an exhibition where an artist had, the gallery, a beautiful big gallery, could have a lot of paintings on the wall. An artist had rented a Steadicam camera, and he'd gone to a old Jewish concentration camp where there was a big sculpture, a big sculptured wall. And the camera just slowly gone around and enjoyed the texture of this wall. You know? We had to sit there for about 40 minutes looking at the texture of this wall, right? So then I said to the dealer, so what do you do with this? And he says, well, there'll be a limited edition of 6 DVDs, and we'll sell them to museums like yours. And or museums, and the museums will pay $120,000 each for them. And I said, but the problem with this is film is a mass medium thing. So when I did Soundtrack to War, for example, I went and pitched that to MTV, and it was seen by 87 million people in the US. To me, that's where the artist goes. There's an incredible misconception in the art community. You go to any biennale these days, and people have an allergy to painting and drawing. It's really, a biennale is really supposed to be about painting and drawing, but all you see is strange installations, conceptual art, and lots of bad films. It's like going to a bad film festival. So you don't go to the Berlin Film Festival and suddenly Scorsese gets up and shows you his latest paintings. But that's what's happened in the art world. For some reason, the art world, what is the painting drawing world, has dropped its bundle completely. I mean, the music world, you've got people putting out music all the time, people putting out novels. James Joyce wrote Ulysses, which was an incredibly advanced novel, but it hasn't stopped people from writing lots of novels since then. But the art world, it's kind of stopped. So that's what irritates me about...
I mean, obviously you don't like what's being done in the section of contemporary art, but I mean, for some people it's also kind of entertainment industry, and I mean, you were really making a point for the entertainment industry and its function in Pakistan, so I mean, this is another entertainment
No, it's
industry.
not. No, art
has to do with identity and the way the experiences, of course. I mean, it would be utmost shallow to do something like our contemporary art or what you just described in a country like Pakistan, because there are so much other problems, and art has to be a mirror in some ways of what is going on. So maybe it's really just a mirror of what's going on here.
No, I think that future generations will look back, as they always do on art, and they'll see most of the art that's been shown in museums as being a terrible mistake, and that the good art that was done in this period wasn't the stuff shown in museums.